Hello, and welcome to today's National Conversations, Race, Relationships, and Resources Alpha Phi Alpha Founders Day webinar. My name is Tanya Gibson. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm the Vice President of Justice, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, also known as JEDI, and Human Resources for Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. And I will be your host for our conversation. This year, we are celebrating the renewal of our 30-year partnership with Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the first historically African-American fraternity. We are so proud of this continued partnership and glad that you have joined us to hear more about this partnership. We will be joined by several Alpha Phi Alpha members who also serve in varying capacities as BIGs and Alpha chapter leadership. Before we have each of our guests share more about their involvement in this meaningful partnership, I would like to welcome you to our conversation. As a reminder, you are in listen-only mode, and this session is being recorded for replay. For our Big Brothers Big Sisters attendees, the recording will be made available in the Learning Exchange, and for our Alpha Phi Alpha members that are joining us, the recording will be available to you from your national headquarters team at Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. We ask all attendees who are joining us for the live session to engage with us by sharing your comments and connections throughout the broadcast. Now that we've gotten our housekeeping out of the way, I would like to invite the President and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, Artis Stevens, who also happens to be a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, to share his opening comments with all of you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Artis Stevens, President and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. Being a part of a village of brothers has impacted my life in immeasurable ways. Several months ago, we announced renewal of our 30-year partnership with Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I'm a proud brother of this organization and truly honored to share with you how Alpha is playing a critical role in our work towards JEDI, justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. JEDI is part of our DNA that started with our founding more than a century ago, when we were created as an alternative to the juvenile justice system, and it's a priority in all that we do. Today, we recognize and celebrate the founding of Alpha Phi Alpha with our final Race, Relationships, and Resources webinar for 2021. Now, Alpha develops young men and helps to promote academic excellence, service, and advocacy for our communities. It gives me great pride to be a member of the first historically African-American fraternity. We were founded on December 4th, 1906, on the campus of Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, by 7 college men, who we call the Jewels. They recognized the need for a strong bond of brotherhood among Black men in this country. This commitment to brotherhood is exactly why we partnered with Alpha for the past 3 decades, impacting and empowering the lives of young men and boys across the country. Now, as I reflect on Founders Day for my fraternity, I want to thank you for being a part of this village of support. I hope more brothers step up to help not only volunteer as bigs, but serve as advocates, board members, or young professional group. I want to hear from you, so I encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter. Take care and enjoy the session. We are Bigger Together, 06.
Thank you for your opening remarks, Artis. As I mentioned, today's conversation is in celebration of our partnership with Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated and their Founders Day. And since you are joining us, you may already be familiar with Big Brothers Big Sisters, but you may not know how or why this partnership exists and the impact it creates for communities across this country. Well, that is why I am so delighted for our guests to be able to share that answer to the question for you. Big Brothers Big Sisters is a JEDI-focused youth equity and empowerment organization. How we do that is through mentoring. What better way to celebrate the 30-year partnership and celebration of Founders Day for Alpha than to share our collective impact of our work through storytelling? And now, without further ado, I'd like to welcome each of our guests to share their work and the impact that this partnership has created with all of you. So Dale, we're going to start with you. So this year marks your 50th 50th anniversary with Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And you've also been a big 7 times and a Big Brother of the Year. So talk about a trifecta, Dale. I mean, you are an amazing individual to have been with us for so long. And so today we're recognizing this special day of Founders Day for all Alpha members that is known as Founders Day. And that's the date back on December 4th, 1906, that your fraternity, that your fraternity was founded on the campus of Cornell University. Your dedication to this partnership, not only as an Alpha Phi Alpha member, but to Big Brothers Big Sisters, should be commended. And it's an incredible achievement. So I just want to first congratulate you and thank you for all that you do for this partnership and for Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And so I gave a little bit of an intro, but I'd love for you to share with our audience, the impact and the journey that you've been on with Big Brothers Big Sisters from the beginning.
Well, thank you, Tanya, and thank you for having me with you all this evening. And hello to all of my Alpha brothers out there in the house of Alpha. Happy Founders Day to all of you. And I'm hoping that you participate in what we're doing here, because we have some important information to share with you. Years ago, long time ago, beyond the 50 years, of course, many of you know I grew up in Birmingham in the turbulent 50s and 60s during the civil rights movement. My brother, another Alpha man, my brother and I were survivors of the 1963 bombing of 16th Street Baptist Church. In the aftermath of all of that, our maternal grandmother attempted to try and calm us down. There was no counseling for Black boys and girls in Birmingham back then, but she always talked about pray, have faith, walk upright, get a good education. She said that over and over again. That was her mantra, but she added something this time. She said, do something for humanity. Do something for someone else. God spared you for a reason. It could have been 4 little boys versus 4 little girls. Now, at 11 years old, I had no idea what that was or what that meant. 2 or 3 days later, after the church bombing, I was at the funeral of 3 of the 4 girls. And at the end of the funeral, I happened to stand about 10 feet away from Dr. Martin Luther King. It was the most powerful moment in my life. I remember looking away from him. It looked like every time I looked back, he was looking right at me. At least that's what I thought he was doing. So when I combined that epiphany experience, that's what I call it, with the mantra from my grandmother, I knew that there was something for me to do. Again, having no idea what it was, but during that time, I knew that I wanted to be an Alpha man. Several years later, I left Birmingham and I went to Texas Southern University in Houston to accept a band scholarship, and immediately started looking into Alpha Phi Alpha. I was fortunate to be initiated in 1971 during the fall, and quickly I learned about Big Brothers Big Sisters from one of my brothers who was in law school. And he came to one of our meetings and he told us all about it. And he made us promise to him that we would consider joining us once we received our degrees and graduated from TSU. 3 years later, I found myself with a degree and I went to work for National Space Shuttle Program. The very first day, I was with the contractor, McDonnell Douglas. The very first day, a gentleman came to my desk, introduced himself, welcomed me to the company. And before he walked away, he said, "Hey, Dale, you seem like you're a pretty good guy. You ever thought about being a big brother?" I said, "Oh man, there you go." Thing keeps following me around everywhere I go to keep talking about it. And so he assisted me in signing up with the agency in Houston. And I think I applied in June and I was matched to Keith Farmer in September. And that was my beginning in being a mentor with Big Brothers Big Sisters. Since then, I've had, like you said, 7 littles. I eventually moved up here to Dallas, and I started working with the agency here, served on the local board, and did a number of things. In 1989, I was honored to be the National Big Brother of the Year. Quite an honor. Went to the White House and traveled all over the country promoting the program. During that time, my little brother and I went to Fisk University to visit with Dr. Henry Ponder. He was the president of Fisk, but he was also General President Alpha Phi Alpha. We told him all about the program, and he got a chance to meet Michael. Michael was 18 then, so we toured the campus, and Dr. Ponder became my mentor in explaining to me what I needed to do to present before the fraternity. So in I think it was 91, I went down to Miami to the General Convention where I presented before the committee, the appropriate committee that resulted in a national partnership with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. As a national partnership chairman, because since I presented and I got to be chair, I recruited thousands of brothers, gotten them involved with local boards. Some of them have even been employed throughout the country, fundraisers and just anything we could do. And I'm really excited about the renewal of a memo of understanding that we did just recently. And I was even more excited when I heard that Artis, your CEO or our CEO, was an alpha man himself. I look forward as we move forward to recruit more young men, more alpha men to be bigs, to change the trajectory in a positive direction of the many kids. I understand that there are 30,000 Black boys on the waiting list throughout the country. Alpha can do this. And so I'm urging all of my Alpha brothers as we celebrate Founders Day. You know, our founders came up with the idea of Alpha Phi Alpha with a purpose. And so I like to say that we need to celebrate Founders Day again with a purpose, because I think the founders of Alpha would want us to do that. There are boys all over the country that's waiting on us to be there for them. So, you know, I'm fond of saying in order to be a man, our young boys have to see a man. So, hey, look up your local Big Brothers, Big Sisters agency, invite a representative to your chapter meeting to present before you. If you have any concerns or trouble, call me, because I'm easy to find. And I look forward to you experiencing what I've been able to do and fortunate to do, is to be a part of a young man's life. And I'm working on number 8 right now. And so I look forward to introducing you to that 8th middle pretty soon. So thank you again, Tanya. Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to continuing to work with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America.
I knew it was going to be great, Dale, but you know what? I've heard your story. And so one, thank you for sharing, you know, your trajectory and journey with us. But I didn't know that you were so close to, in proximity to, Martin Luther King Jr. at the church service or funeral service. Mm-hmm. And so that's something new that I learned. And for folks that are watching this, either live or the recorded session, you know, that's profound. And maybe that was another moment of how, you know, a sign for you to join Alpha Phi Alpha. And for those that are unaware, right, Martin Luther King Jr. was also a member of your prestigious organization. So there's so many different connections and tie-ins on your journey. And I just want to, you know, amplify again that message, Dale, to all of our Alpha members or prospective Alpha members who wanted to learn more about the organization, to know that you all were the first historically African-American fraternity. And that's why that call to action that you just mentioned for your Alpha brothers, Dale, is so meaningful, because as you mentioned, we do have a waiting list of, you know, approximately 30,000 kids, young people across this country who are waiting for a mentor. And many of those young people waiting to be matched with a mentor are, as you mentioned, you know, youth of color, specifically Black boys of color. And we really want to, through this partnership, re-engage our African-American men in recruitment, attracting them to, if, you know, not being a mentor is something you're ready for. As you mentioned, Dale, you've been engaged in a number of ways, whether that be a board member, actively become a part of a fundraising event to learn more about mentorship and the commitment that it will take. You know, maybe it's working for our organization, partnering with us, helping us to re-engage folks in our community. And so I just wanted to say again to you, Dale, thank you so much for that call to action to your members and sharing your story. As every time I hear it, I learn something new about you. Just it reinvigorates me on this partnership. So thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me this evening.
So I want to also welcome another one of our guests to the conversation, Tanisha Davis-Doss. And so Tanisha, you just heard Dale share his story. on his journey in partnership with our audience. And you too have your own journey and history with Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So as the daughter of an Alpha, the granddaughter of an Alpha, and the niece of an Alpha, I mean, talk about another like trifecta, right? You and Dale definitely have some synergy there with threes. You understand the value of this partnership firsthand with the rich history and contributions that Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Brothers have had on your life and that impact. And so you now working with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Puget Sound in the greater Seattle area, I'd love for you to share with our audience how your story and your journey and relationship now as an employee of Big Brothers Big Sisters, but also that relationship and impact of the Alpha Phi Alpha partnership that Dale was referencing. How has that helped you to steward relationships locally? What has it meant to you, and what's that value?
Thank you, Tanya. Well, first, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that, the Alphas are the first Black fraternity. I was reminded of that my entire life, so I will never forget that. So Tanya, when I started here in 2018, I was informed that our waiting list was over 800 kids. And majority of those 800 kids were Black boys. And when I was asking, like, what have we done so far? Who have we, tried to get in touch with? I was told things like, it's really hard getting African-American males to volunteer. We can't reach any African-American males. We've tried fraternities and we've had no luck. And I said, well, which fraternities have you tried? And I didn't hear the Alphas. And I knew that because of, my youth and growing up around distinguished gentlemen, that the Alphas would come through. What I didn't know at the time was that there was already a relationship, national relationship, between the Alphas and Big Brothers, Big Sisters. So what I did was I asked if we could reignite that relationship in Seattle, Tacoma. And ironically, the chapter lead in Tacoma is actually one of my older instructors from graduate school. And so we contacted him and he said, whatever you need me to do, I'll do. So we started talking about ways to incorporate not only our current little brothers, but our little brothers on the waiting list as well. And so we created, opportunities for both the young men and our gentlemen, because everyone doesn't have, time to give us 4 hours a month, but everyone has something to share. And so our first initiative was the Alpha Forum. And that is where, young men, especially from our waiting list, but in current matches as well, they can bring their bigs. And they are on a workshop with the Alphas. And there are a group of Alphas that come all the time. And then there are opportunities for other Alphas to come and share their insight, whether it's around, careers or, what being a gentleman in your community, consists of, or college, things that the young men are asking for. So it's driven by the young men. And, our chapter reaches out to Alphas around and asks if they can, come and speak to a group of young men. With that alone, we have matched several young men, because when an Alpha man sees a child in need, they step up. And we've, been able to create matches that were really born from people having, or these gentlemen and these young men just having a place to talk. And so we were very encouraged about that. And we've also incorporated our group mentoring. This was or is, a specific ask from the community. Many of our families are trying to get their young men into, mentoring, and many of the young men do not like the one-on-one. So we learned that group mentoring was more appealing to them. And so we are providing a group mentoring model. We are in the phases of recruiting right now for our bigs, but each big will have 2 young men that they will be mentoring, and all of the matches will be meeting twice a month to go over things that the young men want to go over, but also it will be a healing circle for our matches, because no one wants to talk about what it takes for gentlemen to talk about their feelings, how it is for them to walk out of the house every day being a Black male, what that does to them, emotionally and mentally. And so we want to provide that, service for not just the young men, but for the gentlemen as well. And, then we will ask them, what activity they would like to do where they can bond, and they will, be able to go out and do activities. So again, it was my upbringing and knowing that there was, a fraternity out there that was very proud of service, and not just proud of service, but proud of themselves, being proud of being a Black man and sharing that with not just, other Black men, but, as a daughter and a granddaughter and a niece, I was also affected because I saw, what a man should be. And listening to my grandfather and my father and my uncle, I was actually scared to bring home someone who wasn't an alpha man. So I, I did not, and it was okay. But I knew that, the village was going to help me. And so currently our waiting list is just a little over 300 now. And I've been here for 3.5 years. So I, look forward to working more with our local chapters. And, nationally, I'm just excited that we are reigniting that relationship, because I think it's extremely important, especially, with where we are right now in the world and in society.
Tanisha, I knew some of your story, but hearing all of the intersections of this partnership and the impact that it's making, hearing the numbers, right? The real impact, right, of what this partnership has been able to achieve in just your community, just it makes me so pleased. And what you said, everyone has something to share, and then, alpha men will show up. And that, I think, is at the heart of what this partnership is about. If we ask, we're making a call, they will show up. And I think it's a brilliant model that you've done to be able to take this national partnership and really tailor it, as you were sharing, for the young people and for the gentlemen, alpha members who, become matches and become involved locally with what you all are doing out in the greater Seattle, Tacoma area. And so thank you for sharing your journey. I'm so thankful that you were able to, maybe it wasn't an alpha man that you ended up with. So we're pleased to hear that went well. And your flexibility that you all have achieved through what you all are doing is so innovative. And so for our audience that's listening, right, again, if you're wanting to understand what we're doing and how this partnership can work in your community, Tanisha, what you shared is a prime example of what it actually looks like, feels like, and how we approach this partnership. And so I want to now welcome another one of our guests, Jonathan Gaines, an alpha member himself, to the conversation as another guest. And Jonathan, also, you've been listening to Tanisha and Dale share their story. And so I want to be able to ask you, about your own journey and story as a member of Gamma Zeta Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated here in the Tampa area. How have you partnered with our local Big Brothers Big Sisters of Tampa Bay agency to recruit alpha men and to integrate it with your signature alpha mentoring initiative that you've helped to start, Jonathan? Tell us a little bit more about yourself and how were you able to achieve some of the success here in the Tampa Bay area?
Thank you all very much for having me. And it's just an honor to share the stage with such members of the community that have made such a great impact. And so I just want to say that the reason why I wanted to become an alpha man is because I wanted to have a great impact on my community. And I look at Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I was a little when I was young. And so I also know the impact of Big Brothers Big Sisters. And so these two initiatives, Big Brothers Big Sisters and the mentoring initiatives that my fraternity leads, my motivation really in establishing a new partnership was really just kind of marry these two initiatives together and really inspire change and initiative of high impact in that way. And so I look at the title of this panel, Race, Relationships, and Resources, and we know that the young men in our communities, when we look at race, and we know the urgency. And so we see that our young men really are in need of mentorship. And we know that alpha men are members of the community of really high impact and also high stature that can set that example and provide those relationships that we know are so very valuable. And so I know firsthand that relationships really kind of really inspire the personal change that we want to see in the lives of these young men, building those strong relationships, which is why I really value the one-on-one mentoring that Big Brothers Big Sisters really has to offer. And so when we also look at resources, as was just stated, when you provide alpha men with resources and the information, they're ready to hold the standard. And so what my thought is around my initiatives is to provide the young men a pipeline program into our longest standing national program for the fraternity, go to high school, go to college. And so when we think about a pipeline program, the young men that we would have that are on our waiting list right now for Big Brothers Big Sisters, around the age of 9 and 10 years old, these are the same young men that we recruit for go to high school, go to college, which is a program that every chapter in the fraternity does, a national program. And because every chapter does this program, we are all targeting middle school, high school kids. And so having a pipeline program where we're leveraging one-on-one mentoring in order to develop these young men before they go into our go to high school, go to college programs seems like a natural fit in really leveraging the resources of the fraternity and really getting brothers really excited about going in and becoming bigs, because they know that the investment that they're making in these young men's lives really is going to be parlayed into our go to high school, go to college program. And the personal growth is going to, pipeline is going to be realized from when they're elementary age all the way through high school and beyond. And so this thought to really leverage Big Brothers Big Sisters as a way to pipeline the kids into go to high school, go to college, it really means a lot to me, because when I look historically, I know that go to high school, go to college is the 100th year anniversary of our longest standing national program this year. And so in honor of the 100-year anniversary of go to high school, go to college, strengthening the partnership that we have with Big Brothers Big Sisters, I think what better way to tribute what our founders had in mind than to establish a stronger relationship with Big Brothers Big Sisters and really leveraging the one-on-one mentoring to build stronger men in our community. And so I'm just so very happy to be part of every good initiative that is really, being realized through our partnership. And it's also important to me that I establish national models that can be replicated beyond my chapter. And so as an academic, so my background is in academia, I think it's really important that institutions be established, that we really, as Alpha Men, focus in on establishing institutions and programs that can be replicated and approaches that can be replicated for the highest impact. So thank you.
Thank you for that, Jonathan. I hope every Alpha member that is listening to this hears what Jonathan is saying. I'll translate it for the lay person in the room. We are working right now on a program that we hope to then scale, to Jonathan's point, to be able to leverage the highest amount of impact. And so there'll be more to come to talk about that pilot program and engaging our Alpha members in it. And as Jonathan mentioned, every chapter right now, you all already have a national initiative, and we want to be able to use the great work that Jonathan and the local agency here in Tampa Bay is doing to be able to replicate that across the nation. And so, Jonathan, thank you, one, for this innovation. I think it is going to be so impactful for our young people and for Alpha members that aren't already engaged. There'll be more that we'll be able to share with you all through a toolkit that we're creating right now to be able to share how to do this at your local chapter. And as Dale, I know we've talked a lot about, really being able to have something that's impactful, that every chapter, every Alpha chapter can have kind of their own manual of how can this partnership truly be strengthened. It's through the wonderful work that Jonathan is creating right now here in the Tampa Bay market. So I just can't thank you enough, Jonathan, for all of your work and all that you're willing to share with this partnership to strengthen it and make it even better. So I'm just so pleased to hear this work, to be part of this work. And again, thank you for each of you as our guests to be able to share your journey with all of us. It's really been inspiring to hear. It's really been empowering as well to hear from each of you and your perspectives about this partnership that's positively impacting our youth. It does actually remind me of a young man from Kansas City who has his own story to share about the impact that our program had on his life. So I'd like to share that story with our audience right now. Audience, pay attention to his jacket. You'll see that he is now a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So not only did Big Brothers Big Sisters play an important and impactful role in his story, but it continues now as he is a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Take a look.
My life now, it seemed like a movie. It's a dream. I mean, growing up it's like the hood. It was older kids, and it was easier to see what the older kids doing. Let's go hang out with them, especially like not having a dad in the household too. So I gravitated towards them a little bit more. When I was 13, I got in trouble. And also with some of my friends, it was all like hanging out or whatnot. We had about 5 or 6 of us, probably 3 or 4 guns. Yeah, I guess it was they was planning on breaking in the house or something like that. So the police rolled up, and I was one of the people who had a gun. I had 2 choices. I was gonna run and get shot, or I was gonna go to jail. And that was the only thing that was running through my mind right at the time. So I didn't run. Me and my cousin stayed. I was into jail. I was on house arrest, probation. This is not the life. I don't want to be no parts of no streets, and just I have to do the right way. I have to be more than this, because I know it's more to life. I got to just figure out what it is.
I think every big brother, big sister wants to just have a positive impact to their little. My aspirations when I met with Brian and as we got a chance to know each other was, how could I help him? What could I do? What could I offer him that he didn't have today? He really wanted help to try to improve his ACT scores to go to college, how to pick the right college, to get into college. And the day I found out about Roosevelt, it's a day I'll never forget.
My friend Roosevelt is a little bit deeper than a friend. He was a brother, honestly. Yeah, we were supposed to be roommates. And the day it was time to leave, he got killed. He was just leaving a barbershop and he got shot 8 times. It felt like a letdown. We supposed to be at school. If we would have left on the same day, we probably would have been okay. And I knew like he wanted so much more. So it was like when this life got taken, I just felt like, not now. Like, not when you want more. Not when you're willing to go get more out of life. Not when you want more. And it's just, I've never been broken like that before. Like, and that just tears me up.
I think he was struggling because he had a plan in his mind about how he was going to navigate college, who his wingman was going to be, and he lost all of that.
When I got to college, it was tough. I didn't feel there was no need for me to be there. What am I here for? Like, my friends and I here, and I only came here because of my friends that came. Like, we were coming here together. I mean, Tim and like the whole program helped me get through that because I really needed somebody to talk to. They expect you to drop out in the first 2 years. Tim helped me with the situation, and I would let myself down. I would let him down too. So like, it's really what kept me going.
I think maybe the biggest impact I had was just constantly being a reminder to Brian that he wasn't alone. His ability to connect with people was a strength. And what would Roosevelt want?
Though I lost a genuine brother, I also have another genuine brother who cares to uplift me, get me back to my spirit, and that's what I got with Tim. And he's real too. He's authentic, and he has a big heart. So though I lost Roosevelt, he's big. He's really big in my life.
So why is Big Brothers Big Sisters impactful? I mean, it's simple. One volunteer, one child. It's an organization that allows us to really measure what we're doing and what's the benefit of it. When you think about the direct impact we can have, high school graduation, it's 100%. If we think about the impact that these children can have once they become an adult, to be leaders in our community, that's what's unmeasurable, is that potential.
What a wonderful way to end today's conversation. I hope that that story inspires you to get involved. Of course, I'd like to thank our guests, Tanisha Davis-Doss, Jonathan Gaines, and Dale Long, for this thought-provoking and inspiring conversation. I'd like to wish all the members of Alpha Phi Alpha a happy Founders Day and in celebration. I'd like to thank all of you for your continued partnership and work with us at Big Brothers Big Sisters. Thank you to our audience for watching today's discussion, and continue to interact with us on our social channels, whether that be on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, or right here on Facebook. And to learn more about how you can get involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters, visit www.bbbs.org. Thank you all for watching.
Hello to my brothers in Alpha Phi Alpha. Now, brothers, as we celebrate Founders Day, I would like for you to consider doing just one more thing for our kids in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. Please go to the Starbucks app and vote for Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. If you do this, and if we win, which I'm sure we will, you will assist Big Brothers Big Sisters to have funding for thousands of kids who are on our waiting list. So again, this campaign starts December 1st and it extends through December 15th. We'll see you there. Thank you, my brothers in Alpha. And again, happy Founders Day.